Thank you so much for joining us today. We're really excited. We have a fantastic webinar presenter this afternoon for you all, and I will turn it over to her shortly. I just want to say that wherever you're joining us from, we hope that the fall weather and the spooky vibes are in abundance and that you're having such a fun time, because I know this is my favorite time of year. We are going to be talking about professional development and how it doesn't have to be so scary, and Dr. Amy is going to speak more on that. I know that a lot of you are joining us today due to a little bit of an incentive, and we enjoy giving those out to you folks. Our presenters, CCEI with StraighterLine, are going to be doing a giveaway for either one $100 Amazon gift card or two $50 gift cards. So we have three options, three opportunities for you to win. So just from being here live for the webinar today, you are definitely checking off a couple of boxes. As soon as the webinar does conclude, there will be a survey that will pop up. Complete that survey, and then we will be choosing three winners out of that. And then you will be notified via email, and then we will pass that along to our presenters, and they will send along all of your goodies. So with all of that being said, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Dr. Amy Smith of StraighterLine to tell us all about PD and why you should not be afraid of it. And please don't be afraid to talk in the chat. This is meant to be an interactive situation. So we want you to use your reactions. We want you to do a thumbs up or a smiley face or laugh if something's funny. We want you to comment because Dr. Amy and Ashley, who is on with us as well, are going to be checking the chat, and we want to see how interactive we can all be together. Okay, so let's make this an amazing learning experience. So after all of that, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Amy Smith to take it all away.
Wonderful. This is going to be the best hour. I'm so excited to see you all. Thank you for being with us. We're going to talk about professional development. We're going to talk about the CDA, college courses, and how incredibly wonderfully busy all of our lives are and what it all means for our students, right? Our little kids, our learners, our communities, and our families. So with that, let's rock and roll this. Please interrupt early and often. Ask 1,000 questions. Chat with Ashley, drive everybody else crazy, and keep me busy as we do this. Please, please, please. So it's good to see all of you here. And I did ask a question, your favorite Halloween candy. I dare you to come up with something a little bit new and a little bit different. I'm boring. I'm a Snickers person. So you can imagine what that bucket of chocolate looks like at our house. Ooh, Swedish fish. Good one, Mariah. I wouldn't have even thought of that, but I might have to go on my shopping list. All right, let's talk about scope, size, scale of professional development. The beauty of early childhood is it is a career, a profession, an industry that is the land of opportunity. And I put some numbers here for directors, classroom leaders, team leaders, managers, and all of us to see just how big the work we do really is. In a given year, there are 73,000 job openings in early childhood education. And as we progress into 2031, it's at a growth rate of about 15%, which is over triple the growth rate of other professions in the United States. I wanted to note that there are over 100,000 public and private schools across the country in terms of early childhood education, and about 58% of those are elementary. That's big, really big. And here's my favorite one: 120,000 job openings per year for early childhood ed. Again, an annual growth rate of about 4%. So we know our field is big. We know positions go unfilled. We know the work is important. But I wanted to give you some numbers so you could just see how large your colleagues and the population that you serve really is. So we are the land of opportunity. That's the beauty of early childhood education. All right, next slide, Mariah, please. Thank you. So why PD and why now? Like, why? Well, we need it. We have to have it, but why? What's the point? What does it ultimately really mean? Next slide, please. So PD benefits us, benefits our kids, our learners, right? Benefits our families, benefits our communities, and benefits our employers, our education centers, our schools, all the places where this happens. But let's start with the teachers, educators. How does PD really benefit you? Well, first off, it seems silly to say, but I got to say it. It increases your earning potential and your hireability, right? It boosts it. The better your knowledge the better your skill set, honestly, the more commitment you're showing to your profession. And that's ultimately really what matters. So when you grow in your skills and your knowledge, it also impacts the growth of your students, which impacts families, which impacts your community. So I know it seems like a silly, of course, but PD increases your earning potential and your hireability. Next slide, please. Let's take a look at how much. So you'll see on the right-hand side, right out of high school or with a GED, starting salary as an early childhood teacher educator is about $30,000 across the United States. Of course, that's different by state, different by region, different in your backyard, but that's sort of the national average. When you earn your CDA, you see yourself go up in the blue bar there on the right-hand side. So definitely 120 hours, 8 subject areas. The thing that CCEI is great for, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, you go up in salary. By the time you earn your associate's degree, you're hitting $40,000. And then, of course, a bachelor's degree is $50,000. So the salary benefits are actually quite real. The key is always, how do I get all this in, still do my day job, raise my family, live my life, and make it all work? And that's why we're here. It's not scary. I promise you, it's absolutely doable. But I wanted to show the national numbers. Perry, hi, from Maryland. It's good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Next slide, please. Hey, Jennifer from Atlanta. So let's talk about other benefits to you. So yeah, hireability. Yes, higher increased salary, right? But continuous learning is actually a way to stay up to date on current trends. It's more than just advancing your career, and staying up to date on current trends helps you improve your practice. An additional benefit is just networking opportunities. Anytime we go to a conference, we do a webinar, we take a course, we meet additional colleagues. Now, if you're like me, when I go to a conference, I ask the person to my left and the person to my right, I always ask the question that I'm working on. I'm struggling with a particular student, or I've got a challenging parent or a family, or we have an initiative, or we're doing a new curriculum, and all of a sudden there's a new literacy program at my center. I talk to the people to my right and to my left and ask, how are they doing it? How are they solving my problem, working on X, Y, or Z? I learn a ton. So it's absolutely about who we meet and who we network when we're doing professional development. Oh, I just lost my slide, which is okay. But it's those relationships and those connections help when we want to further our practice and also further our career, change careers, new job, different setting, improve, grow, expand. All of those things actually are incredibly important in terms of networking. Hey, Mariah, I'm going to call you out and see if we lost connectivity and lost our
Yeah,
slide.
it seems so. I'm so sorry. Let me go ahead and I'll pull up the slides. Just one moment. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it. Josephine, you actually have a question. Ash, while we're working on some slides, Josephine's got a question. Josephine, I'm going to respectfully read it. Please chat or come off mic if I don't read this well. Someone told you not to renew your CDA since you have an associate's degree from 2 years ago. Is that true? Ash, she's on it. All right, so Ash is going to do a little bit of homework and a little bit of research and get back to us on that one. Thanks, Ash, for taking that one. I'm grateful. Josephine, we want to make sure we answer your question. Mariah, I'm going to keep working and we'll see what slide we land on.
No problem. Let me go ahead and I'll do a screen share now. Thanks, everybody. It seems that the Wi-Fi at our office actually just went out. So poor Mariah is running around trying to get it going. So
It's
I'm going to
all
go
good.
ahead and
You're all good. So
read.
the other
Let me know if
benefits,
this is the right slide.
one more, just hop one more. One more. There you are. It's all good. I like visuals. And by the way, 62% of the population are visual learners, right? So it's really good to always have visual. One more, Mariah, and I promise I won't bug you.
One more. No problem. I'm going to go ahead and start re-recording. Just one.
Hey, Aloma. Welcome from Maryland. The last, another benefit, I would say, not the last benefit, there are 1,000 benefits. It just opens doors to future career changes. So those networking opportunities that improve your practice, that help you love your job, that just enrich your soul, right? Anytime we connect at a workshop or a conference or now in a webinar, it also opens doors. Those relationships can help us in any job change or shift in any form of early childhood education in the field itself, right? because there's absolutely the teaching part of the field, which is the crux of what we do, but there's so much more involved in all of that. Next slide, please. The other thing around professional development that's really good is you got to stay up to date on industry trends. I know that sounds like a big duh, but there's always a new way to teach vocabulary and literacy, right? And what's happening ultimately in phonics and who's working on XYZ in classroom management. Curriculum development changes as we grow. And then anything I learn on a Tuesday, I get to go apply to my students on a Wednesday, right? And that's really important. So the great thing about industry trends is we learn new practices and new techniques. And I love that last bullet. It is a way to practice self-care. I dare you to put in the chat what you do for yourself around self-care or self-care for your career. For me, self-care are long walks. When I get to take a break at the end of my day before I get in the car and drive home or break from work, my self-care are long walks. But PD is self-care. It really is. It helps us improve our teaching practice. We learn and apply new skills, classroom management, community parent relations, curriculum, instruction, a whole host of things. But that's really the core of PD is our teaching practice, right? I speak as a long time ago, early childhood educator. My specialty was literacy and early childhood phonics. I have great stories sometime over a cup of coffee about that. And then lastly, in job satisfaction. Honestly, the more my students learn and grow, the better I like my job. I'm happier. I can see impact. You know, what walked in on a Monday is different the very next week because they're in my classroom and that matters, or they're in my center and that matters. So my job satisfaction, PD feeds my soul. It feeds my skills. It feeds my teaching practice. All of that has impact not only on where I work and the families and communities I serve, but my kids every day. So self-care for you, listening to music, Amber, I love it. Good one. Well, and I'm going to ask you what kind of music, right? Like, what does that actually mean? I'm always really curious about what people are listening to. And of course, I'm always building my own playlists. So thank you for helping me cheat on that. Next slide, please. If you can, Mariah. Perfect. So it benefits us, but it also benefits employers. I mean, think about it. So let's do some employer numbers. We opened with those really large, big numbers of our industry and our field. I mean, think about it. 110,000 elementary schools, over 70,000 jobs, 120,000 jobs annually. It's huge. So what does it mean for on the employer side, the director side, the center owner side, the principal of the elementary school, having been one? What does it mean? Well, let's look at retention, right? Professional development. I love this number and I hate this number at the same time. So Afrobeat, Amber, I would love for you, I'd love offline for you to tell me and build me a list secretly. So thank you for giving me that. 1 in 4 US workers quit each year. 25% of the US workforce leaves their job every year. 1 in 4. That's huge. So the cost of an early childhood teacher, a teacher walking out of the classroom, is about 16% of your salary. So you make $30,000 a year, just as a number, right? Right. You're an entry-level early childhood teacher. It costs your director and your center $4,800 every time somebody quits. It's $5,000 in expense every time somebody quits. So a recent Edisist survey, again, back to the benefits of employers, they asked a whole crew of respondents, if you could choose between, basically, ultimately, strong professional development or pay raises, which one would you choose? And the answer, PD. The answer was PD. Why? Because you're investing in me. In me, and my whole life is about my students and my learners, right? I'm investing in them and you're investing in me. That's a really big deal, I think. 53% in this particular survey reported that access to learning and PD opportunities would entice them to stay longer, would help them stay in their day job. So providing professional development to all of the teachers in our setting matters. It helps with retention. It helps reduce costs for the turnover rate. It encourages teachers and employees to stay with us. So by continuing to learn, increasing our skill sets, staying up to date in early childhood education, we benefit ourselves. It is self-care and it is career care. but we also benefit our employer. We become more valuable, not only to our employer, but to the families we serve. Super important. Next slide, please. So PD benefits us, benefits our employer, but it's also a key driver of quality. So well-trained, well-informed teachers, you guys know this, you're better equipped to create nurturing learning environments for your students. The better the environment, the more learning that happens. It is a self-care. Oh my gosh. Career care. Thanks, Ashley. Total Amyism. I promise to steal it. Take credit for it. The thing I want to really notice about an indicator of quality is the QRIS and quality benchmarks. So we all know the QRS as that they evaluate early childhood programs, and things that they look at in those evaluations are teacher-child ratios, curriculum, safety, but staff qualifications as well. Professional development is often a really crucial component to QRS, but it's a crucial component to staff development and your own development as well. And QRS programs recognize centers and educators that engage in ongoing, high-quality professional development. All right, Josephine, you know I'm going to ask what new foods, right? You know I am going to ask. All right, next slide, please. So let's take a look at really those quality benchmarks. Look at the bottom of the slide. Engaging in PD with all of the teachers in your setting can positively impact your ratings. It helps with staff qualifications. So professional development actually helps the QRS ratings go up the more we do and the more developed our team is. That's one key piece. Improved curriculum is another key piece. It's not only about curriculum planning, but it's about curriculum implementation, the teaching of what we have planned, right? So that's a key component. Enhanced teaching practices, how professional development can improve teaching, such as effective classroom management. Go back to our earlier conversation around literacy, right? And what that ultimately looks like. And then the last impact QRS really has is on continuous improvement. That aligns with ongoing assessment, and that QRS is looking for constant and consistent continuous improvement. So professional development, how we do it, how we navigate our careers around it, what our center and directors encourage and provide feeds quality. Okay, Jennifer, I have to say this. Jennifer, you rock. Thank you. She just put in tea and hot water and lemon. Okay, I'm trying that later. I'm actually going to try that. Thanks, Ash. PD is a lifelong journey and investment. Mariah, next slide, please. So one of the things we talked about in an earlier slide is PD can help you stay up to date on current trends. So then I thought to myself, so what are some current trends? Now you're all going to know this. This is your day job. You all do this every day, day in, day out. But I thought it would be nice to just codify it and put it on a slide, right? So one key trend we're seeing, of course, that I'm observing and I'm cheering for is phonics. And that's me. I'm an old early childhood literacy instructor, so teacher and faculty. So I'm cheering for this one. So the field of early childhood is beginning to finally focus explicitly on systematic phonics in instruction. And again, I'm preaching to the choir. This is your day job. You all ultimately know this one. But in the past 2 years, more and more literacy experts have really been focusing on promoting, they're noticing some inadequate practices and behaviors. And the lack of focus on phonics is impacting literacy development. The research gap, one woman, her name's Emily Hanford, she's been leading the charge in terms of studying early childhood literacy and phonics. She sees a gap in instruction. What much of her research has focused on just unquestioned assumptions, thinking, well, if we're not spending time on phonics, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And she's proving that phonics actually really do matter. So we're seeing a new energy and a resurgence in phonics. I love it. The second trend we're seeing is educating with nature. I'd love to hear in the chat if educating with nature resonates with anybody. This is a Scandinavian approach. And in the Scandinavian countries, it's called forest schools. And the basic movement, and it's actually having an impact here in North America, but the basic movement and the idea is that outdoor and natural spaces are great sandboxes for kids to learn. I mean, that kind of sounds like a big duh, but it's an important learning premise and definitely has curriculum and research to back it. So the idea is that anytime a child is in a natural environment, you're developing fine and gross motor skills. Ah, you are a nature school mammy. Yes, I love to hear it. So you totally get this one. You're ahead of the curve. You are the trend. But also build connection to your local ecosystem. So it's not only about being outside. The trend is teaching through nature, but it also can show up in other ways. It's where teachers, you all can make a conscious effort to incorporate the natural elements into your classroom. Either you dedicate time to incorporate those elements, or you literally dedicate time for outdoor exploration and outdoor play. So I think that it's something we've all always done, but we're starting to really study it and codify it. A third key trend, we all know this one, is closing the achievement gap. We measure metrics in education. We measure development and growth and behavior and attendance. And I mean, we measure everything. We measure success rates, dropout rates, college graduation rates, high school graduation rates, literacy growth and development rates, personal development rates, motor skills. I mean, we just measure everything in ed. The gap is also measured. It's measured between low income and high income. It's measured between males and females. The gap is ultimately also measured between first language students and students for whom they have a second or third language. There are lots of other ways we factor in and measure the gap. Why did I put this on the slide? Like, why does it matter? Because ultimately, the achievement gap is used to measure funding in early childhood. I mean, it's a funding source, right? It matters. So early childhood education centers with disadvantaged students or students with achievement gap, those populations, children from low-income families, foster children would be another really good example. We all have those in our classrooms. Children who are learning English as a second language. We may gain more funding from our state because we're actually actively closing that achievement gap. It's a trend, and we're watching for it. And that trend ties to funding. And lastly, technology and child development, huge trend. It's a constant balance. And I say that, and that's another really big duh, right? Experts are trying to decide how to teach with technology, how much technology is the right technology, while still working on digital resistance at home, because your learners go home and engage with a variety of technologies in their home settings, right? So we're left with some questions. What role should technology play in our teaching, really? And how best should kids use technology? And how much, right? Really? And how much is too much? And is there a definition of too little? Like, what does that look like? So one of the most important elements around technology that the research is showing us in the trend is how children are actually interacting. And so that's really becoming a big thing. Jennifer, thank you for sharing the outside, your encouragement. I love to hear that. That's so good. Gardening is self-care. You guys are awesome. I love the chat. Thank you for being engaged. It's so good to spend time with you in this. But when it comes to the question of how much technology, back to sort of how and when and in what ways, how much, here's my fact of the moment, but it's really important. The research is showing us that the recommended time is no more than 1 hour per day. When we go over an hour, it actually has implications for how the brain is developed for little kids, for our learners. So we're targeting an hour, and that's a trend. What does that look like in your classroom, in your curriculum planning, in your teaching practice? And when your kids go home, right? Your students and your learners go home for the day. So mental note. So those are sort of trends. I just want to highlight, because I'm going to come back to these as we continue to walk through PD a little bit. Yeah, absolutely. Please.
I have a question. It's what are some effective strategies for fostering social and emotional development in young children? And that's from Aslan.
Oh, Aslan, please invite me for lunch. I'd love to talk about that all day. Like, that's a whole other webinar. Please have me back. Mm-hmm. I say with excitement. Oh, that's a good one. So, hey, Ashlyn, I'm acknowledging your question, and I love it. And I don't have it as part of this conversation. We're going to get to a couple things a little bit later, but what I'd like Ashley to do is we have courses at CCEI that absolutely address your exact question. Exactly. Thank you, Ashley. We've got killer resources for that, and we can direct you to a specific course. Actually, I can think of 3 off the top of my head that would really fit. Again, manageable, doable. These are not, this is asynchronous, online, to actually answer your question. Thanks, Ash, for your willingness. And Mariah, thank you for interrupting. All right, next slide. So all this to say, yay, professional development, go Amy. Yeah, okay, that's really hard. So here's my question for the chat. And please, if you want to come off mute, I encourage you. What are the challenges in getting professional development in? What do you all find is difficult to get it in? Truly, thanks, Fatima. You're very kind. You're very nice to me. Like what makes PD hard to get done, hard to do for you all? I'm really curious. Financial. I'll take it. Good one. Cost is a variable. We'll talk about that 100%. Time. Yes. Okay. Money, time. I love it. You guys are right. You're dead on. So I'm going to give you a number for time, and I want you to write for me in the chat whether or not you agree with this figure. Next slide, please, Mariah. Thank you. All right. 10 hours. Look at that. 10. That's it. 10 hours. So your largest thing that we see in the research, and you all tell us, and we lean in and listen, is time and money. Thank you. That's so true, right? All right. Here's why I put 10 hours. Look at that middle bullet. The average teacher, you all, right, has only 10 hours per day to sleep and do coursework for professional development. This is your job, your family, your community, getting kids to soccer, dropping people off at school, putting dinner on the table, and honestly, getting everybody in the bathtub dressed for bed and in bed at night, right? I mean, this sounds so familiar to all of us. 10 hours per day. So you're committed to your students, you're committed to your families, you're committed to your communities and your lives. So at CCEI, we need to help you commit to yourself in PD. But I wanted to give you the number. It's 10 hours. So if you ever feel like you're totally strapped, you never have enough time, you need more hours in the day, yeah, it's true. It's real. It's 10 hours. So I had to share that because it's so real. Next slide, please, Maria. Thanks. So why CCI? Why StraighterLine? Like, why am I here having a chat with you about this? Next slide, Maria. Thank you. Why us? Well, this is the StraighterLine side of the shop. At StraighterLine, we offer college courses. We're that part of the world. We have let's look at the left and let's look at the right. On the left-hand side, you see that we have 60 online ACE-approved recommended college courses. You can take sociology if you want to, but what's really cool, you can also take early childhood courses. We have a whole bevy of them, and I'll show you what they are a little bit later. So if you wanted to take a course in classroom management, a college course, 3 credits, you could do that. On the right-hand side of your screen, on any given year, StraighterLine has 45,000 students who take a college course successfully with us. So we're pretty good at getting in and learning and getting through a college course. And I'm going to show you how you can actually do it with only 10 hours of your day and still go to bed. Time and money. You got it, Josephine. We'll talk about that. So StraighterLine, we are a flexible, affordable path, honestly, to get the training and the professional development for your career. And sometimes a college course is a great way to do that because college courses can be PD, right? They absolutely can. Next slide, please. So part of StraighterLine is CCEI, and we all know CCEI. We are DEAC and ISET accredited. We are the largest provider of the CCEA. There are over 200 childcare training courses. So back to the question that Ashley's going to pull resources and make suggestions for us as follow-up around development in English and Spanish. We are dual language. We have administration courses, leadership courses, management courses, financial courses around PD. And of course, we do the CDA and the FCCPC. We have a director's credential as well. And all of these articulate into college credit with college partners, and we can customize. So honestly, I just want to say CCEI, greatest kept secret, right? It's one of the coolest things. It's a way to get college courses and professional development courses combined, CCEI, StraighterLine, as a team for you in what you want to learn, when you want to learn it. Ashley, I want to create pause and space to see if in the chat or anything else you'd like to mention that I haven't thought about, just in a really fast flyby on CCEI. Did I capture it? She's going to tell me yes or no. We'll see what she says. Dun, dun, dun. Or she might be researching behind the scenes as well, for sure. Okay, Mariah, next slide, please. So let's talk about the CDA. So the CDA is 120 professional development hours, right, in 8 core subject areas. You all know this. You definitely all know this. But there are some benefits to actually getting the credential. I'm going to point you to about the 5th bullet down the middle. Go back to self-care and self-career care. So, thank you, Mariah. So one of the things, getting a CDA, it shows hard work, persistence, and dedication to you, yourself, and your profession, and to the families that you serve. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate you for adding a little bit and just reinforcing a couple messages. And other benefits to the CDA is changed practice, personal confidence, advancing your career, back to all the benefits around PD that we talked about in the opening. And lastly, I would always say, gain an understanding, you get new knowledge and different leadership and teaching practice for your learners, your families, and your communities. I think that's one of the best parts. I truly do. So there are so many benefits. And the CDA credential is just a piece, right, on the way to an associate's, to a bachelor's. It's a great way to start. Next slide, Mariah, please. So let's talk through some benefits of, thank you, Mariah. So let's talk through some benefits of training with CCEI. We definitely align to the CDA, the actual formal early childhood education CDA, the Child Development Association. All of our competencies align to that assessment. And ultimately, it's a place for us, CCEI, to build a foundation, strengthen your personal, professional knowledge. I think for us, the last bullet is really important. We think about CCEI as a place where all of you can receive tools and expertise to make a difference in the daily lives of your learners. There are just 1,001 benefits. I could spend 100 hours on this slide, so I won't, I promise. Mariah, next slide, please. And Ash, put things in the chat if there are other benefits you really want to highlight that I missed. Please do. So between CCEI and StraighterLine, you can earn your CDA. Get going on your associates. Continue that associates toward your bachelor's degree. You can take state-of-the-art training and a variety of levels that benefit your students, your peers, all aspects of your career. I think it's important to note that the CDA at CCEI bridges into college courses. StraighterLine has 5 early childhood courses. I'll show you what they are here really quickly. And those bridge together. So it's not about starting and stopping. It's just constantly continuing to learn, right? Just like we do with our kids every single day. We continue to learn. All right, next slide, please. How does it work? So next slide. Ultimately, courses for professional development through CCEI and StraighterLine's college courses, they are fully flexible. They're asynchronous, meaning you do not have to show up for class on Tuesday night at 5 o'clock and get in the car and drive to a campus, which actually can be great, but you don't have to. We are asynchronous and fully online, and it's fully accredited, and you get to learn at your own pace. So you can take your PD course or take your early childhood college course as quickly as you want, or take as much time as you want. It's really ultimately up to you. Here's one of the things I think that is just incredible about what we do at CCEI. Your CDA comes with an education coach. Like, you get a live human who helps you and coaches you through the process. You are not alone. You are absolutely with all your other teachers, right? You're with your families, with your learners every single day, but you're also with an education coach who has done this. I think that that is pretty important. Dana's asking, which colleges do we partner with so you can apply the training for a degree? Dana, I'm going to pass you again to Ashley. Ashley, if you want to answer that, we actually partner with over 165 colleges. So there's one in every state, I promise you. They're everywhere. And we have some preferred where the CDA and early childhood courses track to specific colleges that we've set up nice pathways for early childhood that make it seamless and easy for you. Thank you for asking me the question, Ashley. Thank you for filling in as we go. Next slide, please. So like, this is it kind of in a nutshell. CCEI and StraighterLine, we're a great next step. Like, sometimes you just got to get started, right? You just got to start. You do. And sometimes it's really nice to have somebody walking with you. That's a little bit of us. We'll walk with you. Online courses that fit your schedule and are flexible. At StraighterLine, if you want to get tutored in early childhood classroom management at midnight on Friday, that's when you're doing your homework, you can. I love that. I love that. But starting, let's go back to that 10 hours and those challenges, time and money that you all said. It is a hurdle, but it's not that hard. Sometimes you just have to get started. There's no application process. You don't have to apply to college. You don't have college fees. You don't have to wait for admissions. You can just get moving. And everything you learn applies in your classroom the very next day. Otherwise, why are you doing it, right? Okay, next slide, please. So ultimately, the CDA and early childhood courses from CCEI and StraighterLine, it's a great combination. Here are the 5 college courses. We have foundations, early child development. That's my favorite, but I'm a cognitive literacy person. Teaching students with exceptionalities, classroom management, and back to, see that last bullet? Let's go back to the trend, the growth and increase of phonics, language and literacy. We have an early childhood course in that as well. Next slide, please, Mariah. So you can train your staff. It's affordable. I mean, it's incredibly affordable. Look at $20 per staff member. Totally affordable. Here's the number that I like, the middle, and then ultimately the number on the right. Just under 10 million hours of coursework have been completed by CCEI students like all of you. And we've graduated over 50,000 CDA professionals. That's huge and cool. We're proud of that number. We're proud of the work that we do in early childhood. We're proud of the partnership we have with all of you and the hard work you do with kids every day. Next slide, please.
Amy?
Yeah.
I have another question. How do you handle special needs or accommodations for children with diverse requirements?
Oh, it's a great one. Go back one, please. Thanks, Mariah. So 2, I apologize. I'm welcome to the land of Amy being confusing for all of you. We actually at StraighterLine have a class. You'll see a course right there, the 3rd bullet from the bottom, teaching students with exceptionalities. It's a college course that absolutely 100% addresses the theory, the research, and actual curricular and instructional strategies. Like, what do you do in your classroom for students with exceptionalities? How do you differentiate instruction? How do you focus on learner centers? How do you do the diagnostics? All of that, right? So that's actually a really key component. CCEI also has PD courses. Again, I'm going to throw Ashley some homework. Ash, let's work on some resources around students with exceptionalities and diverse needs. So that's a really good question. Ashley mentioned, by the way, the QR code in the upper right-hand corner.
We have another one if you have time, Amy.
Yeah. Hit us. Okay.
How can we create a safe and stimulating environment for children while adhering to the latest health and safety guidelines?
Right. I want to say you can, and then in the very next moment, you'll think, oh my gosh, I really can't. So for example, CCEI actually has some new courses in professional development. They do, and they actually address child and safety in the environment, and during and post-COVID child safety. So again, I want to throw to Ashley, we have content around that. Please avail yourself of it because we actually really do dive into those kind of questions. Thanks, Ash. I'm so grateful. And then I wanted to look at Amanda's question. What are the average times to complete the CDA certificate and their associates? So let's start with the CDA. Ashley, can you answer the question of the average time it takes to complete a CDA? You would probably be better poised to answer that than I would. So it's a really good question. I can tell you, Amanda, that when a student takes a college course at StraighterLine, for example, the average time to complete a 3-credit course is just about a month. It takes about 4 weeks. And that's in your day job, working full-time, having a family, etc. Dana, are there any grants to pay for classes? Unfortunately, no. But what I do love is a college course does not cost $1,000 a credit like a community college. A college course for us costs $179. And Mariah, can you flip a couple more? Keeping it moving. Thanks, Ashley, for that. So most CDA training is about a year to complete. Some go faster, some take longer, but about a year. And again, at StraighterLine, one college course takes about a month. So you could take teaching with exceptionalities, and it would take you about a month to earn that early childhood college course credit. Yes, it really does. And that's what we see with 45,000 students. So if you want to take 6 months, you can. If you want to speed it up and you know a lot about teaching with exceptionalities and you can do it in 2 weeks, you can do that too. We absolutely have that. It's really up to you as the student of professional development, what's best and what really fits for you. Okay. Do we offer special pricing for bundles for 10, 15 employees? Ashley, I'm going to let you answer Jennifer's question. And then Jennifer, on the early childhood side for college courses, do we do that? Yes, we bundle. So we have teams of people who will come through a class together and we'll do special pricing. And then we will cohort a class at StraighterLine where everybody's in the class at the same time. Even though it's asynchronous, they're all learning sort of together, like everybody at the center. We definitely do that. So I want to leave you, and then I have one last yay to share. One more slide, please. Mariah, you're being so patient with me. Yes, I love free courses and I love giveaways. So I think this is wonderful. I think this is so cool. So we are actually offering a free course. Please scan the QR code that you see in the upper right. You can take a CCEI course, NCCA members can, Healthy Social and Emotional Development and Challenging Behavior. Remember the question we had earlier around this? Like, what are some strategies? Here's the course. I loved it. And when you take that class, it'll give you a free chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. We love giveaways. It's always great. I'm thrilled. It is a popular course, Ash, thanks. And then lastly, you can just use the QR code above. Complete the course by the 31st. You can read it there, post for an opportunity to win. So Ashley, I want to pass the baton to you and make sure I covered what you'd like to. Anything that I didn't mention or want to make sure. And then Mariah, let's see if we have other questions for people to either come off their mic, come off mute, or anything you want to put in the chat. What can we help you all with and answer today? And oh my God, thank you for hanging with us. I had such a good time. Please invite me back.
Oh my goodness. We had a phenomenal time with you, Amy. You have like such amazing energy and you brought such life to this topic that can, be so daunting. So we appreciate you so much. And Ashley, we appreciate you being so active in the chat and helping answer all these really important questions. I'm going to go ahead and just switch over my slides in a second. But first, let me see, anyone have any questions in the chat that we could address while we still have Amy and Ashley with us today? Okay, we've got what are best practices for encouraging and supporting parental involvement in their child's early education?
Oh my gosh, I can give you the top 3 just off the top of my head. And then we actually have a course in CCEI around parental involvement. So scan our catalog, please, because you can dive into this a whole lot better. One of the first ones is communication. How do you communicate with families? Not only you communicating what's happening and what you're working on in terms of the curriculum and the instruction, what kids are learning in your classroom, but solicit feedback from parents, communication back to you. I know it sounds funny because parents will always communicate with us, right, as the teacher, but communication is one of the key ways for engagement. And then always being a little step ahead of communicating with parents is the second one. What's coming down the pike? What else will we be working on? What else are we working to develop? What's coming up? Where are we now? Where are we going? Parents want to know where you're going, for sure. And the third thing is success stories. Parents always want to know, the success stories about their own kids, but the classroom as a whole. Lastly, sometimes this is a fourth, how to get involved. They don't always know how to get involved or how to best approach, and that it's okay to do that you make the environment really safe for your learners every day, but also you work to make the environment safe for them to be involved. I could go on and on about this topic, so I'll stop. Sorry, turning it off. Like, I'm super passionate about this one, but we do have a class on that. And so please, again, Ashley's got resources, surf the catalog. And I'm sorry, I don't have more time to answer that question better. And it's going to drive me crazy that I didn't, because I'm a teacher and I'm going to think about your question all day now. So thank you. All right. So Claudia, you're in an elementary school, CDA, Maryland. Do they have those classes in Spanish? All right. I'm going to let Ashley and Claudia take it. Any other questions? Mariah, are you seeing anything else crop up?
I don't see any other questions popping up, not in the Q&A and not in the chat. So I'm going to go ahead. I know Ashley said that she would be willing to offer her email in order to take any offline questions about either, CCI, StraighterLine, or just any topic discussed within today's presentation. So I'll let her go ahead and drop that in the chat, and it will be included in the follow-up email. So I'm going to go ahead and switch things over. Thank you, Storm. So yes, we are holding a conference next year, Austin, Texas, April 25th through the 27th. You can go ahead and scan that QR code right there. It'll take you to the conference website where you can give a look over to see the prospectus. We do have pretty much almost all of our presenters solidified. So we are really excited that we'll be announcing shortly our amazing roster of fantastic presenters. The conference is focused on leadership. It's a very intimate conference. We're expecting about 100 attendees. So this is going to be really like hands-on networking, really getting into the nitty-gritty of how you can improve your processes and what you're doing, whether it's in your center, your organization, and then take that all back. So please scan that. Please join us. We have some amazing keynotes. Regina Miller, Vernon Mason, and Beth Cannon. So I'm sure those are hot names that you've all heard of. And if not, you definitely should. So you should come to Austin. And of course, if you have any valuable insights to share, please go ahead and scan. Again, we do have pretty much all of our slots solidified, but please go ahead if you know somebody who could present on any of these topics, have them go ahead and send something over. And if we're not able to include them in this year's, next year's conference, we'll be sure to keep them on deck for our future events because there will be some. And then just if you are a NCCA member, please take advantage of the early bird ticket. It ends at the end of this year. When that ball drops, it's regular pricing. So scan this right now, go ahead and get it. Because I mean, saving $100 in this economy, I mean, that's just a no-brainer. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our director, Cindy Lanehoff, to go close us out with her
Well, hopefully I can say a few words.
yeah,
struggling with a little bit of a voice and a cough. But first of all, I want to thank Amy and Ashley for being a presenter and bringing some of the great research to the webinar. One of the things that I have to tell you, I feel personally vindicated by the research you shared, because it does appear that phonics matters. And I have had conversations with different individuals in my career, that tried to snuff that out. And I started my career in 1980, and I was a preschool teacher, and we used the alpha time characters. And anybody that is, or has been around for a while knows what a great program that was. And we actually started seeing this show up when children were in VPK in Florida. And they were going to programs that did not have a phonics program. And ultimately, the scoring was low. So I feel very vindicated today. So sorry if that's selfish, but maybe some of the rest of you feel vindicated as well. It sounds like you have an amazing program that actually makes going to college somewhat much easier than it used to be. And I would definitely just really enforce that professional development, because for a couple of years, I was doing some consulting and assisting with hiring for a multi-site owner. And one of the things that I found was that people wanted to make more money in this industry, but they would come to make, and answer an ad, and they wouldn't have the professional development piece. They didn't even have their certificates and proof of what they had done under other employers that they had already left. So I cannot emphasize enough that if you do want to make more money, this is what you got to do. And I think over time, there will be more of an investment for people that have done this, even in the recognition of funding for early care and education providers, just knowing, the vibe out there right now. So just do it. If you need it, get it, and really help your staff get it. So thank you for helping us with this information today. It's greatly appreciated. And to all of the essential providers out there that joined us today, thank you so much for taking the time to come to the call. And we so appreciate your membership and participation.